Bismillahirrahmanirrahim and Assalamu alaikum. Welcome to Flix for another topic, and today we will discuss life in Makkah again. We already have done persecutions faced by the Prophet and his followers while they lived in Makkah, and today we will discuss understanding based questions, and it is assessment objective 2, and it is your B part of the syllabus. So, question number one that you can see on the screen is, what was the importance or significance of making this migration to Abyssinia at that time? So, before we will do its answer, we will have a look on the marking scheme. Why was migration to Abyssinia significant or important for Muslims? It was important because they could live peacefully in Abyssinia. Islam could be practiced without any persecutions or hurdles. The message of Islam went abroad for the first time. The character of Muslims attracted people to Islam. Najashi became a Muslim, and obviously, when Najashi, the ruler, became Muslim, so a lot of people from Abyssinia entered in the folds of Islam. And last point is unity of Muslims. Now, read the complete answer. The migration to Abyssinia was the first political move of Holy Prophet Wasallam's followers. Basically, Holy Prophet ﷺ did not migrate himself. He told his people, he told his followers to migrate, but strategy was the Prophet's strategy. This was the decision done by the Prophet ﷺ after Allah Almighty ordered him to do so in order to give Muslims a peaceful place to live. The migration shows that Prophet ﷺ assessed Najashi very correctly. It also shows that he was directly under the guidance of Allah, who probably gave the Prophet ﷺ the message that Muslims would be safe in Abyssinia, where they could practice Islam without any persecutions or hurdles. They lived peacefully and established their business over there as well. They were also free to pray and practice Islam without any danger that was a continuous threat for them in Mecca. Besides this, the message of Islam went abroad for the first time. The good characteristics of Muslim community impressed the local population, and later the entire population of Abyssinia became Muslim. Najashi himself became a Muslim, and his funeral prayer was performed by the Prophet ﷺ himself. This migration to Abyssinia gave Muslims the message of unity. Without the physical presence of Holy Prophet ﷺ, Muslims for the first time learned to be united under the leadership, spiritual leadership of Holy Prophet ﷺ. They cooperated with each other, and they made it possible to live peacefully in Abyssinia and practice Islam and attract other people towards Islam. Muslims were weak in both places, in Mecca and in Abyssinia, but their belief in Allah gave them confidence that they could be united and should not be divided, and it was their real strength. And this strength helped them a lot. That is why migration to Abyssinia was a significant event in the history of Islam and in the lives of Muslims of that time. It also gave them the idea for the greater migration, that was migration to Medina in future. Now question number 2 is, why did the people of Makkah pursue these Muslims? Why Makkans chased them? Why Makkan wanted to take Muslims back to Makkah? So this question is asking us to give reasons why they chased Muslims. So the marking scheme is on the screen. Point number 1 is, they took Islam as a threat. to their religion, social setup, economic system, and above all, their political position. That is why they pursue Muslims and they wanted to chase them, they wanted to take them back and to kill them or to finish them forever because they were taking the spread of Islam as a threat to their religion, to their social superiority, and to their economic and political ways of life. Now, here is the proper answer. The main purpose of this chase was to catch Muslims and bring them back to Mecca. For this purpose, they tried to convince Negus as well. They instigated him that the Prophet ﷺ was against the belief of Christians. Once the Muslims had been in their control, they could have killed them or punished them severely. Makkans chased them because they were afraid that the reality and the truth of Islam should not reach a foreign land, which could give them a lot of strength. That is why they were afraid of this migration and they wanted to take them back, to bring them back and to finish them or to kill them. They were right because in the near future, Najashi Negus accepted Islam and died as a good Muslim. Along with him, the population also converted to Islam. Quraysh thought that if Islam flourished there, then it would be a threat to their political position. They were the custodians of the Holy Kaaba and enjoyed a lot of respect among the Arabs. If Islam expanded there, then their prestige could be lost, as Muslims believed that Holy Kaaba was a house of Allah. Okay, the next point is the claim of Muslims about the Holy Kaaba could be harmful to their economy as well because they used to get a lot of gifts and wealth from the pilgrims who would come to visit the Kaaba every year from different parts of Arabia. That is why they opposed, they chased, and they wanted them back to kill them. Why they wanted to kill them? I have told you they wanted to kill them. They wanted to finish this threat forever. That is why they pursued Muslims or they chased Muslims. Okay, I'm sure this is clear to you. Now, this is next question, and it says, how does the Prophet's conduct in one of the difficulties provided an example for Muslims today? It means you will explain how Prophet ﷺ reacted when he was tortured by his own people and how his reaction, his behavior, or his conduct is an example for us. Okay, so point number one is lessons of steadfastness, bravery, patience, forgiveness, hopefulness, and firmness. Okay, Holy Prophet ﷺ was persecuted physically, mentally, morally. Even then, he showed his firmness. He remained hopeful. He showed extreme level of patience and he showed his bravery. He did not curse anyone. He did not take revenge from any other, from any of his enemies, but he waited for Allah's help and support. The Prophet ﷺ never thought of quitting his mission, though he was offered wealth, status, and luxury. We learn that we should remain firm once we are sure that our belief is based on truth and justice. So, what should we learn? We should learn the lesson of patience, and we should learn that honestly we should continue with the same righteous path. We should not lose hope. Okay? He was patient and never lost his temper or his mind during these years of persecutions, and he depended only on Allah Almighty and he hoped only from Allah Almighty. So we learn that in difficulties We should not lose hope. We should turn to Allah Almighty alone, and we should continue our mission or our righteous path, because Holy Prophet ﷺ is a best role model for us. Towards our opponents, we should adopt an attitude of peace or not taking any revenge. One day, they may understand us better. Holy Prophet ﷺ and his companions preferred to die, but they never quit their belief. Holy Prophet ﷺ adopted the policy of forgiveness in response to all persecutions and tortures. He was worried about the result of his persecutors in this world and on the day of judgment. He responded harshness with forgiveness. For example, Abu Lahab told his sons Utbah and Utaiba to divorce the daughters of the Holy Prophet ﷺ, Ruqayya and Kulsum, to mentally torture the Prophet. But he not only remained patient but comforted his daughters as well. So, this was the extreme level of patience. So, what should we do? We should follow his footstep, and we should remain patient when we face hardships or difficulties in life. Abu Lahab and his wife, who were Prophet's neighbors, they used to throw garbage, filth on his way and thorny bushes on the way he was supposed to take. But Holy Prophet ﷺ never cursed them, never spoke to them harshly. He would politely told them not to do so and did not abuse or quarrel with them. So we should take it as a lesson for us. We should do the same in this kind of situation. He did not resist his enemies when they rejected him, but showed patience as he was persecuted severely by the people of Al Taif. Not only he forgave them, but also prayed for them. We Muslims should follow his example and should not repay evil with evil, but instead we should forgive them. We will be rewarded with the blessing of Allah, as the Quran says. Be kind to the dwellers of earth, and the one who is in the heavens will be kind to you. Thus, a peaceful society should be maintained, and if people are forgiving towards each other. Okay? I hope this is clear to all of you. Now we will discuss another question. It is more or less the same that we did for Prophet ﷺ. This question is asking us, explain how the followers' reaction to these difficulties sets an example for Muslims today. Or what can Muslim in modern times learn from these stories? So the marking scheme is, they remained committed to Islam, they remained united, patient, and steadfast in their religion. They were ready to sacrifice both financially and physically. Okay, now have a look on the answer. The followers of the Holy Prophet ﷺ were badly persecuted by the pagans, but they remained committed to Islam, even preferred to undergo death than to abandon their new faith. They were ready to give their lives, but they were not ready to leave Islam. Hazrat Bilal, Khabbab bin Arat, Hazrat Sumayya, despite all the tortures, they did not leave the religion and remained patient. Today's Muslims, especially the Muslims of Iraq and Palestine, should remain patient and should search any peaceful solution for their problems. The Holy Prophet ﷺ and his companions remained united, patient, and steadfast in their religion. In the hard time of boycott, they did not blame each other of this misery or did not curse or kill any non Muslim, but preferred dialogues. It means they remained patient, they remained peaceful in spite of all the tortures and facing the hardships. They did not retaliate, They did not complain. They did not repeated the same attitude towards their opposers or tormentors. Okay. Despite the rough attitude of the Quraysh, early Muslims remained honest in their dealings with the enemies, as the Prophet ﷺ and Hazrat Ali were curious to hand over the deposits of the Quraysh, who had besieged Muhammad ﷺ's house to martyr him. If you remember, when we did migration to Medina, so we discussed here, when Holy Prophet ﷺ was asked, what was ordered to leave Makkah and to go to Medina. And at that time, he was having some belongings of Quraysh, and Quraysh had planned to kill him. Even then, Holy Prophet ﷺ was worried for their belongings, so he handed all the belongings to Hazrat Ali and instructed him to return all the belongings, then join him at Quba. So, this was the character of the Prophet. We as Muslims should do the same because Prophet ﷺ is a role model for us all. They also cooperated with each other to reduce hardships. When Hazrat Abu Bakr purchased the freedom of Hazrat Bilal and set him free, so financial sacrifices are also there, and physical sacrifices are also there. This is the lesson of financial sacrifice. So, Muslims today should be generous to serve Islam. If we see any Muslim facing any kind of hardship in any corner of the world, we should readily uh, help or support him because we are knit together in a bond of brotherhood. Okay, the last question is, why did Quraysh feel they needed to reject the Holy Prophet's message? Why they rejected Islam? Why Quraysh were not ready to accept Islam? Why? Because they took Islam as a threat to their religion, to their social setup, to their economic ways, and to their political ways. That is why they opposed Islam. They did not allow Holy Prophet ﷺ to preach. They did not allow his followers to implement or practice Islam. So the answer is on the screen now. Quraysh believed in Allah, but they also thought that their stone idols were a way to approach Allah. So this was based on shirk. Islam highly condemns it. They were also the custodians of Holy Kaaba. It was their responsibility to serve and care for the pilgrims every year. There were 365 major idols around the Holy Kaaba, which had become a major source of income for Makkans. This had increased their influence over Arabia. It means that it was in their interest to maintain idol worship. That is why they were afraid of Islam. They thought if Islam would flourish, they would lose their position. Okay, that is why they rejected Islam. When Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam gave the message of Islam to Meccans, they knew very well that it would be the end of their political and economic domination. Islam called for equality, fraternity, and justice. Fraternity is the brotherhood. The early converts were mostly slaves and people of humble backgrounds. Quraysh were class conscious society and could not bear the equality of rich and poor. That is why they opposed Islam. They were not ready to accept the unity, oneness, and equality of humankind. So, that is why they opposed Islam. Islam shunned vices, adultery, fornication, drinking alcohol, gambling, etc., and were declared unlawful. And Quraysh were not ready to leave all their bad habits. That is why they opposed Islam. Quraysh did not want to leave their old ways of life. Quraysh were the custodians of the Kaaba, which was a source of religious and social prestige and economic gains for them. People from all over Arabia assembled there in thousands for pilgrimage, uh, and exchange of goods sacrifices were offered to the idols, so they were getting a lot of benefit. That is why they were not ready to leave all these benefits or to be deprived of all these benefits. Besides, their caravans enjoyed a safe passage in a society where looting and plundering were common. And that is why they were not ready to accept Islam and to leave their prestige and honor in the society. I hope this topic is clear to all of you. Inshallah, in our next class, we will discuss the event of Miraj. Till then, take care and Allah Hafiz.